All right, we're live.
We're
I
live.
We are live. All right, we're back with my podcast, but we're going to be doing a little bit of a different podcast today. It's you're going to see it's just a little bit different than what I've done in the past. Typically, I have people that come onto my podcast to talk about the different types of connections that we have in the life and the wellness. But I wanted to start this season off with one of my favorite people, Daniel Sarmiento. Yeah, right back at you, my friend. I wanted to start with Daniel Sarmiento because I had the privilege, the honor to work with Daniel about a year and a half ago.
Something like
I
that,
think it was
yes.
about a year and a half ago. Daniel is somebody that I know through, well, he's become a really good friend of mine. And I met you through a networking group that we are in together where we grow our businesses and stuff like that. And we had the chance to work together. And I wanted to take this moment to talk a little bit about your journey. I wanted to talk about actually a live experience with a client, somebody that was going through something in their lives and, needed alignment, needed somebody to be there with them throughout the process. And I kind of wanted to understand where your journey started, where it came out to, where you are today, and how things have changed in your life based on this personal development journey that you went on yourself. So, Daniel, tell me first of all who you are, what you do, who is this incredible guy, Daniel Sarmiento?
Thank you, Crystal. Nothing special, nothing incredible. Just another person with dreams, and trying to get to them and pursue the dreams. I'm just another immigrant, came to Canada by chance. I started working the typical, jobs when you come to a first country, try to learn the language. And then you have all that dream that you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be a business person. And I just decided one day to open a cleaning company. And then from that cleaning company, it came to a handyman services, to a small construction company, to a bigger construction company. And then why not open a bar? And we decided to open a bar, and you know what I mean? And why not start investing in real estate? So we started going into, but I believe that what happened to me is that I was trying to get too much. You know
Mm.
what I mean? So I was trying to do many things at the same time. And I opened my companies. So I dropped out from John Morrison at Concordia. So I didn't finish. And there is a little bit of the frustration that I have to read a lot, that I have to learn a lot about everything. So my
So you
background
had,
is
you had a little bit of imposter syndrome.
exactly.
So you had come to this place where you had all of these businesses, because
Yeah.
we're talking the cleaning business, the smaller construction company, now the bigger construction company, plus a bar, plus, because I know that you even have more than that going on. But you came to a point where you're like, how did I get all of this if I didn't actually finish my education?
Exactly. So they started to a point that they started consuming too much, reading books, podcast videos, and it was going too much. So it was, I want to do this. I want to learn French. I want to read this book, but I want to read this book too. But I want to listen to the podcast, but I want to do an MBA, but I want to work at the same time, but I want to run the company. I'm a father too. So it was a lot. And
Let's just put a little parentheses. You're also a single father raising children on your own, which is not always a reality that most people think about when they think about a man raising his own children, right? So usually you hear a lot about women who are single parents.
I get help from mom, but the kids live with me. You know what I
Of
mean?
course.
They live with me. And that's a happy thing to do. You know what I mean? Being with my kids. But it is like that race against you that you wanna get better, and the typical Colombian that was raised by a macho mentality that you don't cry, you can do it all, you don't get stressed, you have to, so I grew up with that mentality, and I brought it with me, and I was a person that I didn't believe in stress, burnt out. So when I heard those words and I say, you're weak, what do you mean burnt out? Weak, wake up, you know what I mean? Do something. This life is short, and my background as paramedic taught me that life is too short. So on top of this macho mentality, alpha mentality, I put the paramedic that life is short, that you have to enjoy everything. So everything was possible, and that's not wrong, but it's not right too. So I started to feel the weight on my shoulders about too many responsibilities,
Yeah.
and no matter what, I'm not a person that I speak about what I feel or what I'm, passing through, whatever is happening in
Well,
my
I
life.
mean, that's kind of also part of what you were saying right now, Daniel, like that, the expectations of a man are very high, when it
Yes.
comes to their emotional intelligence. They're not expected to cry. They're not expected to feel stressed. They're expected to basically say, like, pick up, move on. You're a man, be a man. You have to be strong. You have to hold it all together, right? So there's a belief system and a belief structure around what a man is.
Yes. Yes, and especially, I grew up in a really small town, really 26,000 people, coffee town. My grandfather was the typical grandfather that at 12-year-old, he was raising the family, he was taking care of the family, working. And I brought that here, and it helped me to overcome immigration because it's tough. It's actually tough coming, especially to a place that there is not only one language, two languages, and to start a life again. And it helped me to overcome that, but it helped me to dream dreams that were not tangible sometimes.
Yeah.
I didn't have my foot on the ground.
Yeah.
I was
It's
just
like,
a
I'm going to create
dreamer.
this big thing, but like, what are the granular steps that you need to take to actually achieve that success?
But reading about mindset and reading about business and educating and podcasts, everything, I realized that I cannot do it all. I can't. I have certain amount of hours during the day. I have certain amount of energy and I need help. So thankfully I have a great partner, George and Ravi too, we're good partners. We fight like a couple, but with great partners, you know what I mean? He does what I don't like to do. I do what he doesn't like to do or what he doesn't. And we complement each other. And that has helped in my life as an entrepreneur to have a little bit of a better balance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's tough when you don't have kids. Your life balances. You can work many more hours, but I have to make sure that I fulfill certain like I have to have breakfast with my kids every day, and I try to have as many dinners as possible with them. You know what I
I
mean?
would say you want to,
I
not
want to.
just you have to. You want
No,
to.
no, I want to.
Yeah,
I want to.
exactly.
I want to. And I have a great relationship with my son and my daughter. We talk, we play, we plan things together. I'm trying them to be entrepreneurs, make them like now I have a new system. If you want something, you have to read a book. You have to win it. You have to earn it. And it has changed. Through BNI, the group that we both belong in, the networking group that we belong, I started learning, listening about coach and coach and coach. And at the beginning, I was skeptical. Why
Of
do you
course.
need a coach? You're a man, man up.
Man up, exactly, man up.
But then it got to a point that I was listening more and listening to the presentation, and then the same people that I was following and was getting inspiration from, they were saying it. I have mentors, I have coaches. So I started removing that, how you call it, all layers of macho man.
Yeah.
I started removing them and I started asking questions. I started listening a little bit more, but able to speak about what I feel. I'm still struggling that part because it's tough for me. And then you came. And then you came. And then I said, you know what? Let's give it a try. You know what I mean? I hear these presentations and I hear this. And then talking to you, I realized that I was in a state of high stress, in the state of, it's like, a monkey in a tree and it has a million branches where he can actually jump, but the branches were not leading nowhere.
Yeah.
And I started through the conversations that we were having, because it was a conversation. It
That's
is not,
exactly what it
it
is.
is not, they say it about coaching or something like that, like you talk and talk and talk and they listen and at the end they give you nothing. This was a conversation, and this was a conversation where we share things, experiences, and then it helped me to funnel or to try to target my goals better.
Yeah.
Understanding what I'm capable of doing and understanding that, that I'm human, that I have weaknesses too, that it's okay to wait for this,
Yeah.
that maybe you can do it later, that
Yeah.
maybe you can do it after. What is priorities? What is important? What do I need to do now? So that helped me a little bit to focus things in business,
Yep.
life and everything. Even though, after my divorce, I just have a one relationship. I didn't work out, and then I decided I don't need women in my life, and I just got single, and
Yep.
I'm just gonna do my dreams. And then I met somebody, and I believe if I hadn't spoken to you, if I hadn't had those sessions, I wouldn't be able to open my mind to the opportunity of having a relationship. Life or God, whatever you guys believe in, energy, trees. I believe God put me, this person, in my path because it was the right moment. I had
Yep.
the right mindset, and it was the opportunity that I needed in my life to continue growing.
And it happened, I would say that it happened relatively quickly. Like, I think within 6 months or something like that, after we had stopped our coaching,
Yeah.
after we stopped our official sessions and stuff like that. But I don't think that you would have had the space at the time. And I remember having the
Because I would have continued taking a bunch of stuff that would have not given me the time to think about that opportunity.
So I want to just kind of reflect a little bit on that path that you're saying, because you were doing a lot of things and you wanted to keep all of them because you thought that all of these things had to be in your life the way that they were, and you just had to deal with it, right? So I know we focused a lot on goals. We focused on setting priorities. One of your biggest priorities, your number one priority, was your children, and your family life, and making sure that takes precedence. Your other priority was managing your time better, learning how to say no to things that were not necessarily in alignment. I would say that those are two of the main priorities. What are some of the things that you had to either take a step back on that allowed you to propel forward? Because I think a lot of people, they think that adding more things into their lives is going to get them actually farther
Yeah.
along.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've noticed in my career, in my past career, in my current career, is sometimes you have to take a step back,
Yeah.
reanalyze where you are and what your goals and your priorities are, and sometimes just take things off the list. So are there things that you had to take a step back from, and how did you map that out?
So after you, I listened to a great quote that says, to do things that you have never done, you have to do things that you never did. And one of those things was priorities. And I took all my businesses and I said, from all of these businesses that I have, which are the most important businesses? Not only revenue wise, but the businesses that they come natural to me. I'm the face of the companies. So it has to come natural to me. The conversations, the feelings. I don't like to do fake things. I have to be natural. I don't memorize stuff. I just go with the
Authenticity is
flow,
the key.
authenticity. So one of those things is I was spending way too much time in the bar. And that's physically the amount of hours that I was putting at the bar and the amount of effort, time, absolutely everything. My mind was way too focused in there. And I started shifting things around. My main point was to prioritize my companies, my life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because if my life is broken, the companies are going to suffer too.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, you can actually see the difference. I'm actually so focused in the construction companies that we are busy. We are getting great clients, great relationships, opening new markets. And I'm really focused in that. And as well, I'm really focused in my relationship with
Yeah.
my girlfriend. You know what I mean? Because that's helping me grow as a person. So I took a big picture of everything and I started seeing things like, how do I put this? Have you seen when they give you many people and they tell you find the person and the person is hidden? So I was,
Yeah, like, where's Waldo?
where is Waldo? Exactly. So I started putting things like that way where I was actually trying to see what was more relevant for me, important, what has more weight. And I started actually giving the time, the effort, and the priorities to those things. And unfortunately, other companies are suffering. Yes, other companies are suffering, but we call negocios pendejos. We call it like stupid businesses. It's those businesses that you actually believe and you are afraid to say no and let go, because that's another mistakes that we have. We believe as entrepreneurs that letting go is failure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank God you said that, Daniel, because I've been reading about that a lot, right? And I'll just give you a little analogy into what's been happening lately. Everybody keeps telling me, my gosh, Crystal, you do so many things. And I was like, that's actually a problem. That's actually a
It
problem.
is.
It is. But because we are so multi-passionate, we have a lot of things that we want to do. We have big dreams for our lives, right? Sometimes we have to go back to the nitty-gritty. And like you said, you started focusing on the construction company. It doesn't mean that the bar is going to not succeed. No, it's doing its thing. But you're putting in place people that can support you in that business as opposed to you doing everything.
Exactly.
And it might not be to it's not your standards, but we can't set expectations on other people. We can't. We have to be able to allow them to
You
grow.
can, but you can do what you did, coach.
Yes,
You can
exactly.
sit down and guide people and coach people. And something that I've been learning a lot that I believe we didn't have was culture. And so we're starting to pass on to the workers and the people that are with us our culture, hard work, honesty, great experience in all the businesses.
Yeah.
Like if you come to the bar, we want to give you the best experience possible. Not only the best cocktail and the best food, but the best experience.
Yes.
And as well with the construction company, we want to make sure that not only your walls are beautiful, but the experience that you have with us was great.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been working really hard in business are created, but like in growing the idea of the business around the experience and
And around the people.
around the people. And I think we're getting there. And because the things that they are doing are giving me the opportunity to do other things. So my mind can focus in better things. So now, for example, if I was reading a lot about marketing because I was doing all the marketing, I was desperate in grabbing all the books about marketing. Now I can read about something else, or I can spend more time, or I can work out. You know what I mean? Because I have somebody who is helping me with that.
Yes.
And I just have to guide them in the right path so she understands my idea, our idea, and she creates things from there.
Big time.
And I didn't know that until I until I understood from you. I'm sorry for the words that I was fucked. That I was just basically pushing myself to nowhere.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like digging a loop.
Yeah, you're digging a hole, but where's the hole going?
Exactly. So I was able to concentrate, prioritize, and give a sense or an order to the things that I'm doing. And it helped me in every single aspect. The time with my kids, the time with my girlfriend, the time with my companies, the time with my partners. And it's a work in progress, you know what I mean? But I believe I'm like mud. If there is something crooked, you just put a little bit of water and you shape it again and you move on, you know what I mean? And you continue. But I don't have enough that mentality. And then it brought me to open my mind, to see a psychologist, to understand a little bit more my emotions. And understand those things, because a leader needs to be emotional stable. He cannot just to be this macho man pushing people to do the same things. So empathy is important. Be an emotional person is important too. Be the alpha and be the lion in life.
But you can be both.
So, yeah.
You can hold both of those. You could still be a strong man, but have emotional intelligence and the capacity to know when you have to take a step back.
Yes.
Right. And having the outlet, I think that was probably one of the biggest things for you, is that, for me, I always felt very alone on my journey. And one of the biggest things that I got from coaching when I received coaching was that I was not alone. There are other people that are feeling the same way, and that it's okay to feel that way. And the more that we encompass those feelings and thoughts, the easier it becomes to actually be able to just live this incredible life.
Yes.
100%.
But being an entrepreneur is lonely. Not everybody understands that you cannot go to the party or that they cannot go to the trip because you have a responsibility. And it's not only with us, the creators of the company, it's with the people that fits the family with that company that we created. So it's a big responsibility, not like a Spider-Man, but it's a little bit of a responsibility. And if the owners are not okay, the company is not going to do okay. And I'm just thankful. I'm thankful that I broke that
stigma,
and I was able to talk to you, and I was able to open myself a little bit, because those conversations led that I was able to open more with everything in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
And
sure
I'm
that
still
the
working, you know what I mean? I'm still shaping it and I'm still doing it. But the starting point of the change was
yeah. And
that conversation.
I think people have a misconception sometimes about, taking the step back to be able to take great leaps forward. It doesn't change the fact that you're still going to be a hard worker. It doesn't change the fact that you still have big goals for your business. It doesn't change the fact that there are going to be seasons that you are going to be busier than others. I think that's a misconception. People think that, okay, well, we're gonna start this, and I'm not gonna have busy seasons, and I'm not gonna get stressed anymore. I think what I would like people to understand is that there are seasons in our life for everything, right? There are going to be times that are going to be busier than others. There are going to be times that there's going to be more of an overload. You might go through a death in the family, a breakup, a business down in the market, whatever it may be. There's tons of things that could potentially affect you. But the fact that you have, one, the emotional intelligence to be able to know that you're, one, not the only person that has ever experienced this. Two, to be able to have the opportunity to be able to raise your hand and say that you actually would like to have some help. Not that you need help, that you would like to have some help. Because, I mean, at this point in my career, I would say that I want a coach and a mentor in my life, as opposed to needing a coach and a mentor in my life.
But you have to open yourself for that. I cannot push, for example, one of my employees to go to a coaching session. They want to, you need and you want the change in your life. And it starts from there. And the moment that you recognize that you need that in your life, everything is going to be better, because the information or the coaching session with any coach, I think when you really open the absorption of the information and the absorption of the actual coaching sessions, it multiplies.
It does. You can read, I'm sure that this has happened to you many times before. I know it's happened to me multiple times. I've read books in the past on mindset and personal development. And when I've read them, I was just like, okay, I know, like, I get it. Like, I'm reading it. But when I'm ready to hear the information, when I've gone back to reading that book again, the second time or the third time, it's like magical experience. So again, you have to be ready to hear the information. I could tell you something today, tomorrow, but if you're not open to actually receiving that information at the time, it's never going to come in. And that's a normal part of the human existence, right? We all have seasons in our lives. When we were 20, we might not have listened to some of the things that we're listening to today, right? Because we think we know it all.
100%. And one of the things that it helped with the company too is, for example, now Jorge, we got a psychologist that is helping us with communication.
Well, that's so amazing.
So Jorge and I, we really want to learn to communicate better.
Wow.
Between us, with our families, because that's one of the biggest problems.
But
for
I
example,
think that would never have happened.
When I met Natalia, I had to learn again to communicate. And she was patient enough to understand that I wasn't used to it. And I now communicate. So we're working in that. But again, if I hadn't had that coaching session with you, probably today I was struggling with another companies trying to see that I'm going to make $10 million with more companies. But while in reality, I just need one or two.
You just need one that's going to make 10 million.
And maybe when that one reached there, I go to the other one.
Yeah. And then because you're going to have this set up for, it's already going to be a set of foundation. I don't know if you listen to Alex Hormozy, but I've been listening to Alex Hormozy a lot lately.
I'm reading his book, $1 Million Savers.
Just $100 million deals. I've been $100 million. Yeah, $100 million deals. I've been reading that one too, but I've been listening to his podcasts. And, I think the part of his journey that resonates a lot with me, and I think it probably resonates a lot with you, is like, we got to focus on one thing. That's the thing that we have to be doing. We build that until it's multipliable. But we often forget that, we look at a company like Apple, we're like, oh my God, they're making hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars a year. We look at Google and we're like, wow, boom, that's amazing. It took them 10, 15, 20 years to get to where they are like a staple and a known in the industry. But we only see that it took them 5 minutes. They're like, oh my God, all of a sudden the stocks for Apple are like crazy and the stocks for this are crazy. And we want to get in with that type of business. We want to be in that just as much. But if I look over my career, 5 years ago, I'm not at all where I was 5 years ago. I have made leaps and bounds, and I'm sure you too. With that being said, I don't want to take too much more of your time. I think this was a beautiful conversation, and your story is probably going to be very meaningful for people to listen to because like you said, the macho guy, the guy that doesn't really believe in like having to talk about their emotions and stuff like that. You crossed over so many limiting beliefs that you had in your life in order to be able to get you where you are today. What is your suggestion for somebody that is feeling like they're alone or feeling like you were feeling when we had our first conversation? What is your biggest advice to them?
It is okay to feel that way. What is not okay is not to take action. So it is okay to feel lonely, stressed, frustrated. And when those things happen, the best thing that you can do is to reach out to somebody who can help you overcome. Because you're afraid. You're afraid of other people finding out that maybe you reach out for help. You're afraid of whatever this person is going to say or other people are going to say. You're afraid to open yourself. And it's actually okay. But you have to take action. You have to make changes in your life. If you've been doing something for so many years and it's not working, something is fucking wrong.
It's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing.
100%. So you have to see how you do it. Every year you are in the same place. It's time that maybe you reach out to somebody and that's it. Reach out to Crystal. In my case,
yeah, you can reach out to me.
I'm not going to pay for this.
No.
But reach out to Crystal, for example. That's a good beginning because I'm pretty sure if you cannot help a person, you're going to send them to somebody who can actually guide them properly.
Look, like you said, like we did our coaching program and now you're working with a psychologist on communication. Like these are all really important people to have in our lives. They're tools, right? So, most of my clients have either been through psychologists, working with therapists, working with all different types of modalities. And I think that that's really important too. It doesn't start or stop. It's a continuous process of improvement of our personal lives. And so you might not be officially, tangibly working with me right now, but you're still working on yourself every single day. You're still bringing yourself to a place where till the day that you die, you're going to be doing this improvement upon yourself and prioritizing who you are and what's important to you. And the priorities will change. They will.
100%. They will change. And it's going to get a moment that they're going to consult with you again. Because maybe I want to do something different. Maybe I want to just have a conversation. It feels good. Like my best friend, it really affected me because when my best friend is now in the military, in the army, and he's traveling and he's gone, and it's really tough. Sometimes I would just want to call him and say, shoot, brother, this happens to me. This happened to me. What is happening? I don't have it. But the best advice is it's okay being in a tough situation. It's not okay not to do nothing. So you have to reach out, talk to somebody, find a way to, chakras, energies, whatever you believe, put them in your body and just find the right path.
Daniel, this was the best conversation. Thank you for being my clients coming on my podcast this season. I really appreciate you doing
Thank
this.
you.
And so can you tell us the name of your companies so that if people want to go and support you or if they want to come and check you out?
My construction company.
Somos Construction.
Somos Construction. My bar is a lounge, resto bar, a Latin bar in Montreal, a beautiful place. And I have my cleaning company, Washafita.
Washafita?
Washafita. So Washafita is la crazy party in Spanish. We just changed a little bit of words. It pronounces the same in Washafita, and I just Washafita. And I have Triburones, that is actually my podcast and my philanthropic way of returning to entrepreneurs and to life what I have got. So we help Spanish and Latino entrepreneurs with this. Overcome, failure. Try to get better, not only in business life, but in the personal life with mindset and coaching in business. And it's the only way, you know what I mean? I've been learning a lot about this and I wouldn't have done it again if I hadn't had the chance to have a conversation with you.
Thank you, Daniel. That's really appreciative. I'm going to get all of Daniel's all of his links to all of his different companies and his social media. So if you guys want to reach out, if you guys want to put a comment down there, whatever, wherever this ends up being, because it's going to be probably on a couple of different platforms. But Daniel, again, thank you so much for being
Thank you.
here. I
Thank you.
appreciate you so much. I adore you. And, you know, that's the other thing too, is like, we've become really good friends. I can count you amongst the people that I count as a friend. So it solidifies a relationship. It creates a new relationship and it solidifies that relationship. And I know
Yes.
that I can pick up the phone and call you anytime I need, just like you could pick up the phone and call me.
Thank you,
So
Kristen. Thank you,
you're
Kristen. I hope you're helping more people like you did with me.
I am going to continue doing exactly what I did with you. And I'm going to do that for the rest of my life, because for me, I don't know. It's just, it's exactly who I am.
Thank you,
So
Kristen.
thank you. I'm going to stop the recording now. Have a great day, everybody. Yeah, have a great day. See
Enjoy.
you.
Ciao.